All right, so this next piece is critical because it deals with our child safety. Okay, now what this is the child safety ID kit. Now, the parents' biggest fears is having a child taken from them. Right now, what we look around, they're not there 1 minute, they're not playing there. Next minute, they come on running up to us, not a care in the world, nothing's wrong, but we're still freaking out. Now, something that can happen if they are taken is, do we have all the necessary information to give the authorities in the event that they are taken from us unexpectedly? This takes care of that. This will trigger the Amber Alert in 3 minutes, not 8 hours, right? Now, the way that you fill this out is you put the child's name here, you put the date that this was completed in, day, month, and year. Open up all the pertinent information over here. It's filled out: name, date of birth, height, weight, age, hair color, eye color, medication that they take, mom and dad's information, the address, things like that. Anything that's not permanent, hair color, eye or weight, height, that should be filled out in pencil because it can change. And then anything that is permanent, like name, date of birth, social security number, that should be filled out in pencil. Over here, a photo that should be updated every 6 months. You put the name, you put the age the child was in, and the date the photo was taken. Okay. Here you have fingerprints. You go from left to right to prevent smearing. Do this around bath time. Here, this is where the authorities identify the children and make sure they get home safe as possible. This is where you put any physical description marks, birthmarks, scars, freckles, tattoos, piercings, anything like that. All you do is you put a line through wherever it is. Say you have a scar on the left shoulder, scar on the shoulder, put a line through the left shoulder, okay? Over here's a DNA sample. This is where you would put a strand of hair with a hair follicle attached, right? Now the last part is the parent information on the back here. This is where you guys teach your kids about stranger danger and what to do when calling 911 and in the event that you use them in public. Now, never put your child's name where it's visible. Don't put it on coats, backpacks, lunch pails, all that kind of stuff, right? Every family should have a password. So if you have to send a family member or a friend of the family or coworker to go pick up your kid and your password is pen, you would tell them that the password is pen. They would drive up to the kid and say, "Hey, mom," or "Hey, your mom told me the password is pen." They get in the car and they go home, everything's safe, right? Mm-hmm. Kids also should have a code phrase. For example, they use pencil, right? Now, let's say that they're at a friend's house and they're spending the night, and their friends' parents like you, making them feel uncomfortable. They call you up and they say, "Hey, mom, can you bring me my pencil?" You know something up, so you go and you bring your kid home, right? Did they? What do you think about this? They did a pretty good job putting this together, huh? Does that make sense on how this works? Yes. Perfect. Now, when we sat down with the International Union of Police Association, we actually helped develop this, right? And we told them that we would try and get this out to as many families in the community as possible. However, that's probably not going to happen in all reality because I'm the only agent in this area, and there are so many other families out here. So what they like me to do is they would like you or give you the opportunity to sponsor up to 6 families who have kids in their homes that you know who would benefit from this. Now remember, you can only pick 6. Okay, who are those 6 going to be? Boom. Now, this is what, now after all the questions and everything like that, this is what you guys have qualified for. You guys have qualified for what's called the Premier Family Care Plan. Okay. Now, what this is if you guys choose to enroll, your contribution per week would be $30 a week, right? Now, why is anything $30 a week, right? So the idea, this number came from what they call the hour of power, right? Now, the idea behind this is that you take the first hour of your work week and you pay yourself. Then you take the other 39 hours plus overtime and you do whatever you want with it. But you can sleep at night knowing that everything is covered and everything is protected, right? The whole idea behind it is, let's say I come to you and I put you on a 41-hour work week, right? Are you going to take that extra hour and go buy a new car? Probably not, right? Now, if I was to take that hour away from you, would you have to go and sell everything to make ends meet?
Probably not.
Right, probably not. That's why they came up with $30 a week. It has to be affordable or else it doesn't make sense. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Have either of you ever been on the financial side of planning a funeral? In New York State, the average traditional funeral costs around $14,000, right? Now, life insurance doesn't handle the cost of funerals the way they used to. The way it used to work is that, Matt, you would take Nicole's life insurance policy and you would give it to the funeral director, and he would hold on to it for collateral until we got that check from the insurance company. It doesn't work like that anymore. Insurance companies used to have 24 days to cut that check. Now they have up to 60 days to write that check. Do you know why that is? It's because of the insurance or the interest. They make millions and millions of dollars off of the interest off of insurance policies, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there are two groups in the U.S. and Canada that go around buying up all the cemeteries and funeral homes. SCI out of Texas in the U.S. and the Alderwood Group in Canada. Their goal is to become the Walmart of the funeral industry. Now, the only reason I bring this up is because it's their corporate policy to charge 50% upfront of all funeral costs. Now, I don't know what your guys' financial situation is like, but most families that I sit down with don't have $7,000 just laying around. And those who do generally want to use it for what comes after that, right? Bills, payments of other things like that, right? That's why they've introduced this, the Freedom of Choice Death Certificate. Now, what this is you would take this to any funeral home in the world, Nicole, for Matt, God forbid something happened to him. You would give this to the funeral director. He would be happy to take it. In fact, he would be ecstatic because he knows it's backed by big, powerful unions like the ones that you work for and the one that I work for. So he knows he's going to get paid, right? So the way that you fill this out is you would turn this over right here. You would write $14,000 after you had the discussion and he gave you a price tag. You would make any arrangements for benefits, casket, flowers, tombstone, type of stone, all that kind of stuff. You would sign it and walk away. You would have no out-of-pocket cost expenses as long as you kept his funeral under $30,000. Okay. Now that number is very important, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Matt, in the event that something happens to Nicole, you also have that $30,000 freedom of choice for her, right? Now, when you leave that funeral director's office, he's going to flip this over and he's going to call this number right here. Now, he's going to ask two questions when he makes that call. The first one is, are you enrolled in this program? And when I leave here tonight, you will be. You won't have to worry about that, right? The second one is, how much money do you have to work with? Now, if I told him that you had $30,000 for this, how much money do you think this $14,000 funeral will cost? $30,000. Right, $30,000. And that's not fair. It shouldn't work like that, should it? We don't let it, right? What we ask you to do is never to reveal this number to him, and we never will either, okay? What we do is we cut him a check for that $14,000, and we cut you and the kids the remaining balance of that, okay? It's the simplest, cleanest, easiest way to deal with something that's going to happen to all of us eventually. This is essentially a pre-arranged funeral, except it's better, right? They're great in theory, but the difference between this and a pre-arranged funeral is that this is permanent, portable. You can take it to any funeral home in the world, okay? Versus a funeral or a pre-arranged funeral, it's only what goes under. That's money just thrown out the window, right? So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. This is a blank check for $30,000 that both of you have, okay? Now, this part right here, this is why most of our members enroll. This is called our living benefit, right? Now, let's say that you are going, you wake up and it's snowing out. You go out and you shovel and to get ready to go to work. Okay, you fall because it's all icy and you slip and you sprain your ankle, you twist your ankle. Okay, where are you headed?
Emergency room.
Right. Now, what is your typical copay on a visit to the emergency room? Right, $100. If you're like me, $100 is still $100. Now you're in the hole, $100. You're probably going to be missing a few hours of work, right? So what this will do is this will pay you up to $200 per occurrence, unlimited times, every time you visit the emergency room, as long as you sought that medical attention within 72 hours of the accident, right? That means that if you go to the emergency room 3 times this year, that's up to $600 in your pocket, right? Now, this next part is critical because let's say, Matt, you go down to the corner store to get a gallon of milk. Now, some idiot teenager is driving while texting, right? He plows through that red light and smacks into you. Now, you're going to be spending the next 10 days in that hospital, right? And she's probably going to be next to you. Now, over that 10 days, some bad things are going to happen in here financially, right? Those bills are going to start piling up because just because you're in the hospital, they don't care. Those bills still keep coming in, right? You're not going to have any income coming in, and chances are because she's going to be by your bedside, she's not going to have any income coming in. So what this does is it pays you $400 a day up to a 365-day occurrence, or up to 365 days per occurrence. So let's take that example I just used. You get hit, you're in there for 10 days, that's $4,000 into your bank account, tax-free, doesn't go to the doctor, doesn't go to the hospital. Now you're out of it, and then a month later you go back because you slip and fall and you have to have another surgery and you're recovering for 10 days, right? That's 365 days starts all over again, right? Now, this part is if that accident was just a little bit worse. You end up in the intensive care unit, right? What this does is it pays you $800 a day up to a 14-day cap. Now, the reason they cap it is because if you're in there much longer, you're going to be using this. However, you do not lose that benefit. It just reverts back to the $400 a day. Does that make sense how that works?
Yes.
Right. Now, this is also strike-proof and layoff-proof. If you were to go on strike, we would pay your premium benefit for a year. That's 12 months. You don't have to worry about that, right? If you were to work or to be laid off from work, we would pay it up to 3 months. You don't have to worry about that, right? Now, what insurance company do you know that would do that?
Don't.
If you were to go to your car insurance company right now, call them up, say, hey, I'm on strike. What do you think they're going to tell you to do with your car? I can't afford my. They're going to tell you to take that thing off the road, right? Now, we also have an option B, right? What this does is the coverage drops the price drops from $30 to $15, and the only difference is that the freedom of choice drops from a $30,000 to $15,000 coverage. Everything else stays the same. You still get that $200, that $400, that $800, right? So which option works better for you, A or B?
I'll go there.
Perfect. Now we'll need your driver's license. I'll need a check that has void written across it, and I'll need your doctor's information. All right?
Thank you.
Perfect.